All right. Hello, everybody. It's the Meista from Brews and Tunes. Cheers. I am beside myself with excitement tonight. I am chatting with the one and only, the multi-talented, multi-instrumental Mr. Tony Blakk of Druid Lord, among other bands. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Yeah, no problem, man. Great to be here.
Cool. How's it going?
Good. Uh, Pete had an injury, so we've kind of had to delay our European tour with Druid Lord.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, but I start my Massacre tour in about 8 days. So
Nice. Nice.
yeah,
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. So yeah, you've got a lot going on right now. So of
yeah.
course, Druid Lord, Killer, God, I fucking love Druid Lord, by the way.
Cool.
Just
Awesome.
anything and one of my favorite genres of music has always been the death and doom kind of combo, which I think you guys have mastered more so than a lot of other bands. But so you've got that going on, which is great, and new album out, or recently. And then also, yeah, the fact that you are the guitar player for Massacre. Holy shit, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I actually on this tour I'm switching to bass.
Oh, really?
Yeah, our bass player got sick, and he's having treatment, and so he's gonna sit this one out, and I'm gonna play bass, and our new guitarist Carlos is gonna play guitar. So
Oh, okay. Nice.
yeah,
Very
I
cool.
kind of asked to play bass because I want to do backup vocals. So
All right. Nice.
people think it's a demotion, but it's not. I want to do that. Plus, I I was kind of thrust into the guitar spotlight all of a sudden, and I have like one guitar with a whammy bar with a tremolo bar, and I have like six basses, So
Oh,
yeah, so I'd much rather play bass. So
interesting. Interesting.
yeah,
Because I mean, especially in those early days, you were known as a guitar. I mean, you played for
yeah,
Acheron,
yeah.
way back in the early '90s, and multiple bands back then. That's interesting. That's so. Have you always gravitated towards the bass, or is this a
No,
newer?
just once I started doing Druid Lord, I really fell in love with playing bass, and so after 12 years of playing bass, I thought I could just go play guitar and I would be happy, but I wasn't happy. I want to play bass.
Interesting.
So much more. It's so much more fun, man. You can do so much more things with it. I just like it. That's cool. The guitar's bigger and heavier, and it's just I don't know something about it. The thunder, bringing the thunder, man.
Yeah, it's fucking more fucking metal, right?
Yeah, it's just yeah,
I love
exactly.
it. That's great. Speaking of more metal, um, Relics of the Dead. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I
What a
I grabbed one so
great,
everybody.
great album that is. Holy shit. That
Thanks, man.
is perfection. I mean, I
Thank
can't
you.
stop listening to it. It's so good. It's so good. And you guys have been around for, it was like 2010, 2009
Yeah,
you started up.
yeah. 12 years. Yeah.
Wow. And this is your third album, I believe, if
The
I'm not
third
mistaken.
album, we did some EPs and some on some 7 inches, but this is the third full length album.
Nice. And you just did a split too, right?
Yeah, we did a split with Anatomia recently.
Nice.
We were going to go on tour with them in our European tour, and then one of the guys in Anatomia got sick,
Oh
and then
no.
Pete was taking a kayak off the top of the roof of his car, and it slipped, and he grabbed it, and he heard a pop, and he went to the doctor, and he tore his bicep tendon.
Oh,
So he's gonna be like, he just had surgery, but he's gonna have like physical therapy and rehab. I mean, it's gonna be a long battle for him to get back to playing guitar. So it's probably gonna be 3 or 4 months, probably.
oh shit.
So
That's not good.
yeah,
That's not good. Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, I'm sorry. You mentioned so that tour is starting now, right? Or is the Massacre tour?
The the Massacre tour is starting in 8 days,
Oh, okay.
and
That's
the Druid Lord tour was supposed to be in November,
okay.
early first 2 weeks in November, but we're gonna have to push that back to 2023, I think.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, especially if Pete's dealing with that sucks. I'm sorry. Yeah. Hopefully he gets well soon and fast recovery.
Yeah.
Pete. Yeah, shit.
Yeah.
I was curious about Massacre. I was curious about that. How did you get involved with Massacre? How did you get involved with Cam?
They contacted me and they said, you know, I know you switched to bass, but you know, you played guitar for so many years. How would you like to play guitar again? And for Massacre, and I was like, yeah, man. And they needed a drummer, so I recommended the drummer of Druid Lord, Eldon Santos, and I've known Cam for a long time, man. So it was like we joke around a lot. Like we're just really funny together. We crack a lot of jokes on each other, a lot of practical jokes. So it's more like a brotherhood than a band almost, you know. So I couldn't have asked for a better crew, man. Like there's no complaining, there's no, oh, you know, I don't get enough spotlight, or you know, I don't get this, you know. We're all like, I remember one time there was for a while there was 5 of us, because we had 2 guitar players, and I remember somebody had to take the couch because they had 2 single beds and a couch, and Cam's like, I'll take the couch, and I was like, wow, I never thought that guy would take the couch. You know? So we're all, you know, we're all cool with each other, man. It's working out really good, because I know he had some problems with some of the guys in the past, so no issues here. So
cool. And how cool is, I mean, you know, fucking Massacre, one of the greatest death metal bands ever, you know, legendary band, and the fact that it's back, it's happening again.
Yeah.
New album slays, and the fact that you guys are touring, that's incredible. It's wonderful. It's such a cool, when I first heard about that, I was elated. I mean, I never thought there would be another Massacre album, let alone a tour. So that's amazing. So you said 8 days. What is the kind of, where are you going? What are you guys doing? Where?
I don't know exactly the order. I know we start in Finland, because our first flight is to Finland, and then we go to the UK, and I'm kind of not sure where we go from there, but I know all the places. It's Belgium, Poland, Germany, the Czech Republic.
Wow.
Did I say the Netherlands?
No.
The Netherlands. I think that's it. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. They'll be like, you left me out.
Yeah, that sounds great. So are you doing festivals, or is this
it's about half and half. It's about half and half. Yes. Half of them are festivals and half of them are just you know, the festivals are more on the weekends and stuff, and then there's other shows throughout. So I know we have to do, I know we're doing 2 dates in Czech Republic and 2 dates in Germany, and then the other ones are all one-offs. So
nice. Oh, that's great. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Are there plans for a US tour in the future? Do you know?
I don't think so. Damn it. I honestly, I know next year we're going to Vakken next year.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and we're doing South America. So we're doing Colombia, Chile, Mexico, Brazil next year, and we're doing Australia, New Zealand, and Japan, I think. Man, I never thought we'd play in Japan.
Yeah, this is great. Wow, this is serious. Like, this is serious. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
This is great. This is very cool. I love to hear this. This is great. I mean, the fact that you're not playing in the US is frustrating, but that's okay. But no, that's great. Congratulations. That's so cool. Wow.
Well, we're hoping. I think what happened was we got in with a really good touring company, and they mostly do European stuff. So I think once it's almost like the Beatles. Remember when the Beatles went away and played, and then they came back and everybody wanted them? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think we're hoping that's going to happen. You know, like I know a lot of places want us in the US, but we haven't been able to get like a direct link to the right touring company, you know,
Gotcha.
and the right touring company will make or break you,
Right.
you know, because you get with the wrong one and, you know, you're sleeping on people's couches, you know?
Yeah. Right.
So these guys got us hotels and flights and, you know, vans and buses, and it's the real deal. So
Nice.
If we could get those guys to somehow do the US tour, that would be awesome.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
That's great news. That's cool. That's very exciting. Congratulations.
Now,
So,
Druid Lord tour the US next year.
oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you'll kind of have to kind of play around with this. Yeah, I was going to ask you that. That was my next question, actually. Yeah. What's the plan with Druid Lord in terms of touring?
We don't have any set dates, but we always tour. Well, I mean, since COVID, we haven't actually been able to tour like we wanted to. But, you know, before COVID, we toured. We did at least 2 weeks every year. The US. We usually, you know, it's easier for us to do the East Coast, go up the East Coast. You know, we haven't done a lot of West Coast stuff. So we're looking forward to doing West Coast this year because we haven't been to like California and like Oregon and Texas and stuff like that with Druid Lord. So we're looking to get the West Coast this year. But we were supposed to do some big fest in Texas a couple of years ago, and we had to cancel for some reason. Somebody got sick or something.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would. Yeah, Druid Lord. Yeah, come if you can. Come to Utah.
Okay.
Little hint there. Yeah, come to Utah.
Okay. Yeah,
I will be there.
Cool.
With
I've never played Utah in
really?
Any band.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's a strong metal scene here. I think sometimes that surprises people, but there definitely is. So yeah. But anyway, yeah. Sorry. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you. I was, as I mentioned before. You know, you do a lot of stuff. You've always done a lot. And I was curious, kind of how, like going back in time, kind of the start of Tony Blakk as a musician. Where did that start? Did you come from a musical family? Kind of where did you kind of what are those roots?
Yeah, my parents didn't play, but I think it skips a generation. Both my grandmother and my grandfather both played guitar, and it wasn't heavy metal, but it was like country. But I grew up here seeing people play guitar, and like my uncle, he was so good. You would just name a song and he would figure it out real quick, which chords, and he would play it. And like, so at parties and stuff, everybody'd be drinking and stuff, and he would just start playing. And when I started playing guitar, the hair metal was real big. And so in high school, I got really into the hair metal. And then a buddy of mine came over and was like, you got to check this out. It was Metallica. And I was like, whoa. And from then on, man, I was hooked. And I let the perm, wash out over the next few months, and, traded in my spandex for leather,
Nice.
I never wore spandex, but I've dated some girls that did. So, but, yeah, it was. And then, I was always trying to recruit people from the neighborhood to be in my band. And I would teach like this guy how to play drums and this guy how to play the bass. And that just never worked. So, we had a magazine here called Jam Magazine, and you could actually put a classified ad for free in the back of the magazine. And you'd see a bunch of ads for musicians and stuff. And so I put an ad asking for a drummer, and I got this crazy Filipino guy that just would break his cymbals. He was a beast. And we were called Entity. And it was hard finding bass players and venues and stuff. And then I started playing with this other drummer named Shrew, and we were having issues, like the same kind of issues, just finding people who were serious, finding people who had good musical equipment and like a place to practice where we didn't get the cops called. I mean, you know, this is, you know, late 80s, early 90s. It was a different time. There wasn't a lot of tolerance for us. And then me and my drummer went to see Acheron live. They came to Orlando, and I was like, wow. And I was really into Deicide at the time, and they were kind of like, you know, along that kind of style of Deicide with the dual vocals and stuff. And I just started talking to Vince and Pete, and they were like, you know, we need another guitarist and a drummer. And I was like, what's wrong with this guy? And they go, oh, he's just filling in. And I was like, oh shit. So that's when I joined Acheron.
Wow.
And yeah. And then my drummer couldn't handle, you know, he wasn't a professional musician. He hadn't like done any touring or anything, and like hadn't played a lot of shows. So we had to let go of him, and we got Mike Browning from Nocturnus to play drums for us.
Mike,
and that's when everything picked up, man. You know, and yeah, and then from Acheron, I went to play. I went to sing for Apostasy.
Oh yeah.
And they were kind of doing that Deicide thing too. So, and then that didn't work out, and I joined Equinox. And the reason I got at Equinox is because I started having kids, and I didn't have a lot of time for extracurricular activities because I was focusing on my career and stuff. And so fast forward like 10 years later, and Pete calls me and he goes, hey, Matt's going to quit Equinox, and we need a bass player singer for Equinox. And I was like, oh, dude, I'm there, you know? So I had a bass, and I love to sing. So we did one show and the band broke up.
Oh, really?
I learned all this material. We did one show and the band broke up. And then Pete was like, dude, we should do a doom band. And I was like, dude, I did a doom band like, you know, 15 years ago. I was like, I'm unsure of this, you know, like, because everybody's playing fast, you know, and I have this need to play fast, you know, and him and Steve wrote a song, Chamber of Ghastly Horror, and I heard it and I got goosebumps, man, and it was just guitar and drums. And I was like, whoa, I was like, I'm in, dude. Like, I loved it. And I still love that song. It's like one of my favorite songs. That was 2010. And I was actually in a satanic death metal band called Serpent Sun at the time because when Equinox split up, you know, Pete wanted to start doing Druid Lord, and the drummer wanted to start doing like a Christian Belphegor kind of thing. You know, Deicide-ish, because he liked to play fast. So I was doing the Serpent Sun thing. And when Druid Lord took off, because they both started around 2010, when Druid Lord took off, I abandoned the Serpent Sun thing.
Okay.
But we're planning on bringing that back. So
yeah, I thought I read something about that you were talking about. Yeah. I was going to ask you about that. That's really, because yeah, it's been 12 years.
Yeah.
Since the Serpent Sun thing. So that's really interesting. That's cool. But
yeah, and that drummer ended up getting into Resurrection, and he toured the world. He toured Europe and everything with Resurrection. So he was busy too. You know, he got busy, but now we're not busy. So we're going to bring it back. And it's real brutal, fast. The Angel or Demon song is like 300 beats a minute.
Oh, wow.
It's super fast. Yeah. It's satanic with the dual vocals and just, oh man, I love it. It's going to be awesome. It's such a contrast to Druid Lord, you know, but I love Druid Lord. Druid Lord will always be my baby, you know?
Yeah.
But I kind of need that speed. Like, it's almost like getting a fix. Like, I need my speed fix.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So
That's so. Is that in the works now, or is that kind of?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're about to release just the one song to like as a teaser.
Oh,
And,
nice.
yeah, and then while we work on the album, because we can't wait until the album's done to let people hear it.
Very cool. What is the? Do you have a time frame in terms of the album coming out, or?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I know how long it'll take us to record it, but the pressing, I have no clue because right now everything's delayed. It's insane. We'll have the recording done in about 3 months.
Oh, okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
You are ridiculously busy. I don't even know how.
Oh yeah, I have a recording studio.
Yeah, you got a you would say you've got a studio, you have a show yourself on, you have a podcast that you do. I don't know how you balance all of this and keep
it's a lot. Yeah, I got 3 kids and I have a carpenter during the day.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a lot.
And I'm
cool.
Single.
And I'm single. I'm single too. So if any of the ladies out there,
ladies, all you metal ladies out there, or non-metal ladies necessarily, yeah, they carpenter, multiple bands. This is your guy. This is and has good taste in wine too.
I'll build them, furniture and then sing, songs to them with my guitar.
Lay down some accolades and I built you this bed. I've got a song for you. You're like the ultimate. Yeah, you're the Don Juan of metal.
Build me up, man. Make me look good.
Nice. Man, that's cool. You have so much going on. I feel inadequate.
No.
Yeah. No, but that's great. That's
amazing. I just can't say no to shit. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, it's good though. You keep busy. So with I don't. This is a probably completely loaded question. With all of these bands you have, I was curious about the kind of the specifically with Druid Lord. I was curious about the writing process. Kind of how is that a collaborative effort with all of you guys, or kind of how does that happen?
So Pete is like 80% of the music writer. He writes 80% of the music, and then Chris writes, like maybe 20, maybe 30% of the music. They get together and collaborate on but I think it's going to be more like 50-50 now because, it took a while for Chris to get used to our style. And now that they write a lot better together because Chris is from Killing Addiction, our other guitarist. He's in Killing Addiction. Oh. And we had borrowed him originally, and now we don't want to give him back. So
good.
Yeah. So they write about, I think they're gonna write 50% of the music each, and then I write about 90% of the lyrics. Usually Pete will be like, "Hey, I just want this one song to be, and I write the lyrics, and then I'll read them and I'll be like, yeah, well, I gotta fix this and this, to make it my style, And he's like, that's cool. He understands. Since I gotta sing it, I gotta make it my style.
Right. So does the music come first, or
music always comes first?
Okay.
Music always comes first. And I didn't used to give away my I didn't used to give away my process, but I don't care. I'm sure a lot of guys do this. So what I do is they send me the lyrics, or they send me the music, and I pick the spots where I want to sing in, and I mumble stuff in the pattern that I want the vocals to go. And then I send that to them, and now they know where they can put the leads, and I know where I'm going to sing, and I can change it still. It's not written in stone. It's just mumbling,
Interesting
stuff. And what's crazy is some of the stuff I mumble it's actual words, and I'll actually use it and twist it and make it work somehow because I've listened to it for like a month, and it gives me ideas like how I want to name the song, because I can see, okay, that has, I say that and that really works, so maybe I should make the title this, And then so the lyrics are like the last thing to get done because I'm real picky. And I'll get online and I'll be like, I'm having writer's block, guys, help me. And I'll have my friends help me sometimes, you know, with the lyrics, because I'll get put in a corner. I'll be like, man, I used too many lines to talk about this, and now I'm at the end, and I was supposed to be talking about how the hideous was it the was the hideous feed on the mangled as the hideous feed, and that was one of them. It's called Mangled as the Hideous Feed. And I was like, they're supposed to be eating me by this line right here. And I went over, I was like, I got to somehow get back to where they're eating me. Cause, you know, like they're supposed to be consuming my flesh, you know? So it's fun. It just, I'm really picky, and it just takes a long time. It took us a year to just write that album. Yeah. So,
which I think that's a good thing in some ways. I mean, you know, you guys take your time, you're focused, you take it very seriously, and yeah, what a fantastic album that is. I mean, it's one of those where, you know, you put it on and like everything else stops. You've got to sit down and listen to it. That's what I love about Druid Lord for me personally, is your music is the type of music where I can't be doing it's not background music. I can't be doing other things.
Yeah.
I've tried, and then I stop doing whatever I'm doing because I've got to listen to it, because it's one of those, you know, especially the last album. It's one of those types of things where, yeah, you've got to sit down and it's very impactful, I guess is the
thanks, brother.
I would say it.
Yeah, that's a good description.
Yeah.
We wanted to pull the audience in and like add like different elements to really make the atmosphere spooky, and then tell the story, you know, and so that you're immersed in it while you're listening to the story, you know. So we really take our time and make sure everything's right, and make sure all the elements are there, and then we'll add a bunch of stuff and then go, oh, that doesn't work. Like, I listened to that, man, that didn't work. We're like, okay, let's do something else. And we experiment a lot with different sounds, different instruments. I don't think we'll ever have like a dedicated keyboard player, but I like when Pete throws just a little bit of keyboards in here and there, you know.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, and we have a lot of the same musical influences too. That helps a lot too.
Nice.
So,
and that actually is a really good dovetail into my next question. Is I was curious what kind of I mean, you mentioned Metallica as an early influence for you.
Of course.
But I was really curious about, as far as like, and maybe this is a big loaded question, but I'm curious about, in terms of your guitar playing, your bass playing, your vocals, and your lyrics, your songwriting, kind of what are the big influences for you?
So vocally, you know, this sounds totally like a setup, but Massacre was the very first death metal band I ever saw live.
Cool.
And when Rick Ross hit that guitar and I heard that wall of sound, I was just like, and then they started and Cam's like, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I had never heard anything like that. So I would say that Cam Lee is definitely like my number one vocal influence. And if you ever hear the song Black Candle Seance, I go, hey, and that's a totally rip off of Cam, man. And then one of his influences was Celtic Frost, and I forget what song is it, but he goes hey like that. Hey, it's not as heavy, but he told me that one time, and then I was listening to Celtic Frost, and I was like, oh, that's that song he was talking about. So Cam's definitely influence. And then My Dying Bride, I really liked My Dying Bride when I was younger, and I listened to them a lot. And Paradise Lost, I would say, if you and Deicide, if you took Deicide, Massacre, My Dying Bride, and Paradise Lost, that's like the core of my vocal style, I think.
Cool.
And then musically, there's a lot of like Merciful Fate and Slayer. I'm a huge Slayer fan. Uh-oh.
All right.
Uh-oh. Did I lose you?
Nope, I can still hear. Yeah,
I got a low battery. I didn't realize my battery's getting low.
oh.
Hold on, let me see. I don't know. Can we pause this, or is that?
Yeah, let me
Oh,
pause.
you can?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know if it was going to ask me that again. So I think bass wise, I was a big Geezer Butler fan. When they said that they went in the recording studio and the engineer was like, "Oh, can you turn your bass down?" He's like, "Nope." he's like that's that sound. Amps, a lot of time amps sound better when they're turned up really loud.
Yeah.
And you got these studio engineers that are fossils, and they didn't know what to do with these young guys that wanted the sound on stage on the record, you know? And so Geezer was the first guy that was like, "No, I'm not turning down, man. Like, that's the sound I want. Just figure it out," you know? And you know, Cliff Burton, Jesus Christ, man, that guy was just a phenom, man.
Yeah. Kind of I always felt that he was kind of the heart and soul of that band.
Yeah.
And nothing against what came after, but it never was the same for me after.
Nah.
But once he passed, I didn't feel the same to me anymore.
Well, he was also the most musically trained guy in that band.
Yeah.
And he taught all those guys all they know about theory and stuff, man. You know, he knew all this classical stuff, and he would teach it to them and be like, "Oh no, it would be better if you do it like that," you know. And so when they lost that, they lost their like guru, you know, like their musical guru too, and friend, and you know, party buddy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what is the, and maybe it's not necessarily a musician, but I was curious about like kind of the lyrically, what is your influence? I mean, obviously horror, and
Yeah.
but are there specific artists or writers or films or anything that kind of, you know, in terms of what you do?
Usually, so Pete is a little older than me, and he is the huge horror movie fan. Like, I like the generic stuff that everybody knows about. He likes the kind of underground stuff, and if he doesn't write the lyrics to the song, he'll just say, "Hey, watch this movie," and you know, and I think you'd get good lyrics out of this movie. You know, that's like what happened with Barren Blood. He said, "Watch the movie," and I was like, "This is great." Like, I don't know how he finds all this stuff, but I just, like you said, I'm so busy. I don't have the kind of time that he has to just research stuff and, you know,
Right.
all that stuff. Like, but he always gets like the Crazies, the movie The Crazies. We wrote the song "The Crazies Must Kill."
Oh yeah,
and that was a song that was a song that I wrote the lyrics to, that he said, "Watch this movie." So we do a lot of that. I value his opinion a lot. So.
Nice. I like that. I think that's an interesting take on lyricism. You know, the like, hey, check out this film, maybe come up with some lyrics for this particular song. That's an interesting way to do it. And I maybe some other bands do that too, but that's interesting. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, and he'll be like, "Hey, that you're a little too specific there. Like, just broaden it more, you know, like I'll get into a subject, and I'll talk way too much about something that doesn't matter as much to the story. And then I find myself backpedaling and going, okay, this isn't relevant. There's a lot of rewrites. I mean, just months. I mean, it might take me 3 months to just come up with all the lyrics for an album worth of music. So,
wow.
Yeah, just because it just rewrites and rewrites. And we just want it, because I learned early on, you might have to sing these songs for 20 years.
Right.
So you better write something that you want to sing for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
If you don't like it, and if you don't like it, it takes off, you're going to be, and you got to sing something that you don't like. That's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like you mentioned the Beatles. I'm sure, in the late 60s, they're like, oh God, Love Me Do? Really? I have to sing this stupid song?
Yeah, I'm a big Beatles fan too. I love that stuff.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's interesting because it sounds like, based on what you've been saying, is that story is a very important part of your lyricism. Which I love that. And you have a tale to tell. It's not just about writing a song, it's more about expressing a story, something interesting.
Well, we figured out a long time ago, if you want people to feel immersed in your story, then you have to immerse yourself in the story and write it as if you were in the story. Like what's the sky look like? What does it smell like? Are you hearing like footsteps or, and like just trying to use all your senses and to just make it as full as it can be, and no gaps, so that when you are immersed, it's colorful, so.
Nice. That's really cool. That's really interesting. I love that. Kind of switch gears a little bit. I wanted to ask you about the Tony Blakk Show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How did that come about, and kind of what is your goal with that?
So I was involved. Someone asked me if I would score a movie. And I go, I don't know, man. I'll try. Like, it's not really my forte. So I have a really nice keyboard, and I was using these like synthesizers and, trying to make it sound like it was a full orchestra. And it sounded pretty good. And I sent my material in, and they had loved my samples. So I thought they would like this. And they go, no, it's not right. So I go in my room for another 8 hours and write a bunch of music. So finally they said, come on set. And because that music, the second take wasn't good either. They're like, come on the set and get a feel for the movie. So I saw the whole process of making a movie, and I was like, I didn't realize how easy this is. Like, I could probably do a TV show, because I always wanted to do a TV show. And so I already had most of the equipment. I didn't have to buy much, and I just started doing the show. I wanted to eventually interview people like you're doing, like interview band people. But I started with like my kids, and just as like test subjects, and I just thought it would be cool also to see, like, in 10 years, like how much people have changed, and stuff. Because like my kids, that was so many years ago. They've changed, immensely. And like I did one with my grandmother, and she just passed away like a month ago. Thank you. And so that was something like I can send the family, like, hey, watch this, and you can hear her talk, and we're goofing around. I'm calling her, I'm doing the King Diamond, Grandma, And she has no
no,
idea
no clue what you're doing.
She has no clue why I'm doing that, but she's laughing anyway because she knows it's funny, And she's like, at one point, she's like, "Yeah, I like music that you can hum to." I was like, "Except balls to the walls." Oh, So yeah, but yeah, we had a really playful back and forth all the time. So I wanted people to see that because it was really cool.
That's cool. That's cool that you are willing to not only capture that, but share that kind of intimacy, family intimacy with multiple people. With that's cool. I think it's important. I think because I think and not to get too, I know this is a metal show, but I think sometimes we, especially as Americans, we take our elder population for granted in a lot of ways, I think, and they have a lot of wisdom to impart, and they may not be metal, but man, in terms of their life, they're fucking metal. I look at my grandparents and they've been gone for a while, but yeah, I mean, I couldn't live like that. I'm not that badass.
Yeah, my grandmother, my other grandmother on my mom's side, she was born in 1919. And so she was a kid during the Depression.
Yeah.
And she remembers going to school with her parents took a burlap sack that they had got when they bought feed for the farm animals, and they cut holes in the sleeves and up one for the head, and they put that on their kids. They wore burlap sacks to school. Ooh. Like they were just poorer than poor, man. They used an outhouse, like they bathed in these big cast iron tubs out in the middle of a field. Like it was crazy, some of the stories I heard from her. So I love to hear all the stories and to immortalize them. Was my original goal, just to immortalize cool stories.
Nice.
Basically.
I love that. I think that's a very noble cause. I think that's great that focus. I think that's cool. And I'm baffled how you have time to do any of this shit with everything you're doing. Yeah. Full-time carpenter, full-time musician, and I've got a show and a studio. It's amazing. You're a pretty amazing person.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, I don't want to keep you all night, but I do have one last question for you. So,
okay.
As you may know, my show is Brews and Tunes, or my page is Brews and Tunes, and I pair craft beer with metal albums, mostly hard rock and metal. So it's a Friday night, Saturday night. Tony Blakk is hanging out at home. Maybe because you're usually super busy, but yeah, you're hanging out at home, maybe writing some songs. You cracked open a beer or you opened a bottle of wine. I was curious, what are you drinking and what album are you spinning?
Oh, that's good, man.
Yeah. So what's your pairing?
I really like this beer, Spaten. It's German beer.
Great beer.
I love that beer. And I would probably be spinning, oh man, what was the name of that band? I love there's a German band, Eisenbahner. Eisenbahner. It's a band from the early 90s. I'll send you a link.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
Yeah. So you listen to some German beer, listen to some German death metal. So yeah.
Nice. I love it. That's cool. Very cool. Awesome. Well, Tony, thank you so very much for chatting with me this evening. This has been a pleasure. I really appreciate it. And for everybody watching, please look in the description below. There are links. If you have not heard Druid Lord, you are missing out. Click on the links, buy the new album. You will not be sorry. It fucking kills. And if you are in Europe, go see Massacre on tour coming up very soon. Next week.
So yeah, September 1st.
Yeah, awesome. Very cool. Thank you, sir. I
Thank
really
you,
appreciate it. This was great.
It.